Are you there? Are you there? You can't trick
spring decor.
You can't trick me today. It's already been too stressful today.
You know, I just had this conversation today. The more stress and the harder we work, good things are on the horizon. So we just gotta grind it. Gotta grind.
I know, but I just didn't know if we were going to get on. So for all our viewers, we had a little bit of technical difficulty on my end. My internet wasn't working, but we are back and going. So how you been, Scott?
Doing good. I literally have not felt this underwhelmed, opposite of what you, because spring break's going on for all across the metro over the next couple of weeks. So last week was some spring break. This was a spring break. Last week was a spring, or the following week. So, without a bunch of adults bothering each other, there's a little bit of space. So hopefully we get some good weather and things are going good. How are things going in your world? Your business is rocking.
My business is doing great. We actually don't have spring break over here for a couple of weeks in Shawnee Mission School District. It's pretty late this year. But yeah, business is going, it's like people finally understand that going virtual and in the digital world, they finally understand they should be doing that, especially in the personal branding world. So going good. And we've been busier, so maybe they're using their spring breaks for that.
Yeah, who knows? Well, all of our guests do a phenomenal job with social and digital, so I'm excited for that. But before that, a lot of our guests, and sometimes people don't realize how large of an institution Bank of Blue Valley is. I mean, they're one of the top 5 institutions here in Kansas City, but they actually have a national footprint. And we always enjoy our calls with Sean and Felicia. And then we're lucky that Wendy Reynolds, who we both have a big crush on, who's absolutely amazing. And we have no idea how she handles 27 different things at once.
All the things. Yeah, no, they've been great. We actually, they sent me a video I'm going to play today later for Wendy Reynolds' question.
So we're gonna wait to play the video.
Yeah, we're gonna wait to play the video. I thought that it went really good into her question. So yeah, we're trying.
And we have a video shoot. We have a video shoot coming up as well.
We do. And I want to know who's watching us today. So come over here in the comments. Let us know if you're watching us from Facebook or LinkedIn. And tell us who you're excited. We have a fantastic panel today. So tell us who you're excited to see. And remember, we talk about networking all the time. Make sure you're networking over here. All right. You ready, sir?
I'm ready, but it's kind of like Anchorman. Anything that anyone posts, we will likely read. So I always think it's hilarious that we do it. But I'm curious what genre you have going. But once I hear it, I'll get rocking.
I really don't know. We're just going to see what this is. I just found this whole instrumental thing.
Ooh, I've gambled with that before, and it will be soft. But here we go. As always, ladies first. Kristin.
Hi.
Number 2. Mary.
This is terrible music.
I know. Number 3, Toby. And number 4, Jeffrey, a.k.a. John Stamos.
I get the John Stamos. You guys, I'm sorry. So far, we had
John Stamos' father.
Yeah. The worst song. I like John Stamos.
Like fine wine, Jeff gets better in age, and I always try to look at whatever he's eating or drinking because I mean he just always never ages. He looks phenomenal.
There you go.
Look at this. They're already ready. They're already ready for you, Jeff.
Yeah.
So, let's say hi to some people real quick, and then we'll jump in. Hello, Janae. Hi, Logan. Oh, I love the name Logan for a girl. Hi, Logan. Angie, happy Tuesday to you as well. Angela, yep, it does look like a great lineup. And then if your picture is private and you comment, and sometimes maybe you keep commenting and we don't show it, it's because it looks like this. So, hello, random user. Hello, change your picture from unprivate. So, I'm so excited to get started. So let's just dive in. These are all your people, Scott. So I'm meeting everybody for the first time today. So, all right, Kristin, who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
Hi. So, yeah, my name is Kristin Drussel, and I'm actually from the Kansas City area, born and raised. Went to high school here, ended up at KU, and graduated there with a degree in communications. Didn't quite know what I wanted to do after college, which is totally normal. Ended up getting married and being a mom. stayed home for the first 5 years, and through a mutual friend got into the insurance business. So I am currently the Vice President of Sales for the KC Insurance Group. And we are actually currently being acquired by Hub KC to be their personal lines division. So we are so excited to join the Hub KC team. Everybody that we've met over there has been amazing. And we're just excited to add some good personal lines influence to their company. So that's kind of my background.
What about your other guest that's on the show, Rosie? Is she near? And when did you acquire Rosie?
Rosie has been in the family. We got her for my daughter's 6th birthday. So she just jumped down, which is probably good because we don't want her like here with all the fur. We need her away. So she's probably about nap time. So she's not in the picture.
Well, good. I'm sure every interaction I think you've had with our partners has been around drinking. And so I guess the show is no different with being Drinks with Leaders. I'm sure we'll dive into more of that transition of being full-time mom to being 17 other jobs at once. So I'll let Aaron drive.
Well, I just went to the Hub office. That's pretty exciting. That place is great.
Yeah.
So I didn't know that was going on.
Yeah. So there's 5 of us now at KC Insurance Group. We've been in business for about 5 years. I joined right as the owner, Corey, opened up that business. No insurance background, no business background, and just kind of dove in and trusted his instinct and just kind of learned the sales cycle from him. Like I said, we're about 90% home and auto, personal. We do a little bit of commercial, but really we're just excited to be that anchor point over at Hub KC to bounce ideas off of them. Everybody we've met has been so amazing, and they're such a team over there, which is how we are also at KC Insurance Group. Everybody's just down to help each other. So when Scott asked me to be on this podcast, I'm like, I can't say no. Everybody's been so great. So I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining us. Yeah. Mary, who are you? What do you do? And how do you get here?
Hi, I'm Mary Crowe. I was not born here. I was born in Chicago, but I moved here very quickly after birth. So I'm basically from here. I think I was about 4 years old. But yeah, I grew up in Brookside. I went to Scion for high school. And then I spent 1 year at the University of Alabama, decided it was not for me, maybe a little too far away, and came back, went to Mizzou, finished there, finance and real estate degree from Mizzou. I actually interned with area real estate where I currently work, which at the time was called Red Brokerage, after my junior year. And then after my senior year, I piled on full time. That was in 2016. So I've been there for about 5 years. And what else? I do office brokerage and a little bit of retail. I know our wonderful sponsor, Bank of Blue Valley, is probably listening, but I do quite a bit of work with a couple of other banks. I won't name them. Do you want me to name them or other banks?
No.
We'll keep it Bank of Blue Valley. But so I do actually have quite a bit of experience in the banking world just when it comes to commercial real estate. So excited to be a part of this banking opportunity. But what else? I teach yoga. What?
Oh, keep going. You teach yoga. I was going to ask you a question about, after you get done with that, how many people were in the loop when you started it and how many people are there today, and give everyone that background. But you were talking about that you teach yoga.
Yeah, so I teach yoga, just a couple classes a week, which I absolutely love at Power Life Yoga. And the Loop, I was the first Looper. The Loop is a networking group that my friend Emerson and I started here in January of 2019. And I like to say I was like patient zero of the Loop, first recruit. So he and I have been together with that role in with that project for over 2 years now. And during that time, we've grown it from the two of us to I think there are like 130 or 140 people in it at this point. So it's been a really cool experience. It's been awesome to watch it grow from something that was an idea over a drink at Jack's Fish House. So also drinks with leaders being relevant. But and then just slowly, one at a time, we added people, and then we reached a certain threshold where we didn't have to seek out people anymore. And now we have people banging down the door, trying to join us. It's been a really awesome group. We do some really cool stuff, and we're excited about 2021. We've obviously had to get pretty creative with a networking group during a pandemic to come up with events to keep us all together and in the loop, as we like to say. But we're really excited for what's in store for 2021. We've started to really outline the structure of what we want the group to look like moving forward, and hopefully just create a little machine. We're looking at actually expanding into different cities. I don't know if I was supposed to say that, but whoops. And see where it goes. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah. I didn't know you guys were up to 130 people. I've sent a couple people. I've done some intros to a couple of people. Anytime someone is kind of in the 20s and they ask where to network, I'm like, you have to be in the loop.
Yeah.
So
it's been crazy. We've gotten so many great referrals from people like you, and it's just a solid dynamic group of, I think what our vision is similar yet unique minds or something like that. So it's really different people, but we all have similar values and are all driven to become the next generation of business leaders in Kansas City. So it's cool.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Toby, who are you? What are you doing? How'd you get here?
I got here because Scott said, hey, will you please come on this show in a couple of weeks, which was very nice. Hi, everybody. My name is Toby Cook. Been in Kansas City 23 years. I know that because our oldest son, Adam, turned 23 in February, and we were 6 weeks away from having him when we moved from the East Coast to Kansas City. The fun story about that is that we said to the doctor, okay, can she travel 6 weeks out? And he said, well, that baby's going to be a lot easier to transport that way than he is 2 weeks after he's born. So we came to Kansas City in January of '98. But I'm from Kansas. I grew up in a small town in southeast Kansas and have spent most of my life in the Midwest, except for those 3 years out in Virginia. I was a TV reporter and anchor for 15 years before my last job, including 9 years at Fox 4 here in town from '98 to 2006. And then from 2006 until recently, I was in publicity and community relations with the Kansas City Royals. So I've had dream jobs all my life. I'm very fortunate. You know, I was a shoe shine boy at one point when I was a kid. I was a pizza delivery boy, which was not a dream job, but I got through it a little bit in college. I started in radio when I was 16 years old. True story, I started because I wanted to be a play-by-play announcer for the Royals. And so I got into broadcasting, and somehow after a 15 to 20-year broadcast career, I ended up getting to work for the Royals and see Denny Matthews and Fred White and Ryan Lefevre and those guys in the hallways. So I've had a very blessed life professionally. And then personally, my wife, Barbara, and I have 5 kiddos. Adam, who just started as a sports reporter in Wichita. He's at a talk sports radio show down there, live on the air from 5 to 6. He's live on Facebook, so I get to check him out every day, which is hilarious. I try to do show prep for him and like give him little tips and stuff, but I think he's ready to go off on his own. And then I'll speed through the kids, but I'm very fortunate. My daughter Molly, who is our number 2, she is in her 4th year dancing with the Oklahoma City Ballet. So we've been. It's really exciting to have 2 kids in show business, which means that they're going to be on our dole for a long, long time. We're going to be carrying their weight financially, which is awesome because they get to follow their dream. And then I have another dancer in the family, Annie, who is training right now, a son, Andrew, who is in 7th grade. And then our youngest, Caroline, is in 4th grade, and Caroline's the rock star of the house. She has a little extra chromosome. She has Down syndrome, and she's changed our lives forever. So I'm very blessed, man. I've had great careers, wonderful family, love Kansas City, and I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Toby, the thing that I realize whenever we have people on that have media backgrounds is I get really scared, because you'll notice as the audience, nothing against everyone on this show that's not Toby, is practicing how to talk and not what Aaron and I do of ands. It's so incredibly impressive.
Thanks.
And then I have to realize, like, oh my gosh, I think of that Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hour rule that we debate. And so my question for you is, you're speaking because not only do you help companies on the communication side, you connect them to the right people, you do PR, you're also helping leaders on how to communicate. And so for you, what was the biggest gap of your career where you learned the most? Was it the first couple of years out of college? And do you believe in that 10,000 hour rule?
I absolutely believe in the 10,000 hour rule. I kind of wonder if the hardest time I had was my first couple of years at the Royals, even though, and this is typical for TV, I made it look as good as I could to the public, but I was scared to death behind the scenes because I was doing something completely new for the first time. And the reason I say that is because I'd been in radio really since I was 15, 16 years old. And I kind of grew up in TV in the journalism world. Man, with going to baseball, I came out of the broadcast world where every day I was on the air. Every day I would come in and have no idea what my story was. And by that night I was telling a story. And there's a lot that goes into that, but you just do it over and over and over and over again. And pretty soon you develop a little comfort level. And that's what you're talking about, that repetition thing. With the Royals, I had never done an Excel spreadsheet. I don't know how to do this HR thing. Which means we have to this, that, and the other. It was just completely different. So that was probably my biggest learning curve. And they let me stay long enough that I started to get the hang of it. But yeah, I believe in repetition. That's for sure.
You know, the funny thing is I didn't realize that until we were interviewing a bunch of CEOs with two incredibly talented people, Kendall Gammon of the Chiefs, and then Joel Goldberg of the Royals. And you just could tell that Kendall was a professional athlete, and I'm sure Joel was an athlete in his own day, but Joel had an extra 15 years on Kendall. And you could kind of understand how long it truly takes to become a master of your craft. And so when the audience is watching, they're not allowed to judge Toby against the rest of us.
That's exactly.
That's not fair, because you're too good. But you don't have the looks of John Stamos, aka Jeff. So I'll let Aaron kind of dive in from here.
I want to show this thing real quick about Toby, though. It says Toby's talent is only exceeded by his character.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you.
That was very nice. I need friends like Jeff.
I know. Jeff's a man.
And now we're going to go over to another Jeff. So many Jeffs today. Jeff, I have a few questions for you. Who are you? What did you do? How did you get here? And when did they start calling you John Stamos?
All right. Well, Aaron and Scott, thank you so much for inviting me today. I'm not going to thank you for putting me after Toby. That's really nice. No, it's been great to be part of this. And yeah, so I grew up about an hour from New York City in a small city called Peekskill, New York. So I'm a long-suffering New York Jets fan, as a few of you know. So that's, but they're coming back. Don't worry. But I only root against the Chiefs if they play the Jets. So if I go to Arrowhead Stadium and I have my, Jet jersey on, you give me some, it's my hometown team. So
there's company loves misery. So up until a certain draft pick of Patrick Mahomes, you probably got a lot of like people putting your arms around you, like, hey, we can be friends.
Yeah,
get each other.
Exactly. So. What brought me out here was so long ago was TWA. I worked for AT&T when it was the Midwest headquarters out here. Went to Manhattan College in the Bronx, the Jaspers. They're represented by Iona, coached by fairly famous coach, Rick Pitino, that made the big dance. So yeah, work for AT&T, work for Sprint, Bayer Crop Science, some big Kansas City companies, some very small ones. My specialty is really in the using technology, data analytics to drive sales and marketing, return on investment. I was most recently the Senior VP of Data Insights for United Way Greater Kansas City. I left there and I'm working on a couple different consulting opportunities, as well as I just launched a live online class for recent college graduates, teaching them how to get a job, resumes, cover letters, LinkedIn, and really more importantly, like many of you on this, especially my good friend Scott, is the power of networking, building relationship, helping others with no expectation of anything in return. So it's been fun. I launched it in January. It was a 9-week session. My next session launches next week, Wednesday. So yeah, it's been exciting.
2 questions. One quick one. How do I find out about that class if I'm trying to enroll in it? Can I go to your LinkedIn profile? How do I find out about it?
Yeah, LinkedIn would probably be good. I also have an Instagram. It's just Jeff Pelaccio. I got out of my comfort zone, corporate America, and started posting, Instagram videos because that's where my audience is, and didn't even have a ring light. I was just holding my phone up like this and following myself around. And my first LinkedIn post, I was making my aunt's meatballs and gravy for Christmas, which I do every year. And I said, here's a recipe on how to get a great job. I write my own stuff, and you can obviously tell.
Jeff, 1, I love that video. And then 2, you mentioned something at the very end where you said introducing and helping people and not expecting anything out of it. I'd like to say that I'm on a high horse and that I do it because I don't expect anything, but I'm not. I feel like I've been hardened over time on connecting. One thing that I've always loved about you is you truly are going to help everyone. And where does that come from? And how have you seen it, pay off with what you do? Because there are so many people you help out on a weekly basis, and you truly expecting nothing in return. And I'm wondering where that comes from, because there's so many people that benefit from your help.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's just maybe, my parents, the way I was raised. I know Harry Campbell's on the call because he gave me a shout out in the comments, but Harry, his first book, I think, was in Bob Berg, the author of The Go-Giver, wrote the foreword. And I was lucky enough to meet Bob a couple of weeks ago. And, he talks about that in that book. So I don't know. It's just been ingrained in me to just help others. I get pleasure out of doing it. So it's been great.
Well, Kansas City is super lucky to have you.
No, thank you.
I have an important question. When are you going to start doing TikTok? Because that's where your audience is well.
Yeah, well, actually, I wasn't big on Instagram. I love Snapchat. My family thinks I'm crazy, and I have maybe 50 followers. But when we go on vacation or we do fun things, I'm always on there goofing around and doing that. I like it because it goes away.
Well, I feel like TikTok's then an easy transition for you.
Yeah, well, we'll see. And Aaron, I will definitely tell you when I'm on TikTok. How's that?
Yeah, I'm going to follow you. I'm super excited about it. All right. I want to get through this question because I think this question is very, very important. Again, start putting your questions over here in the comments to make sure we get to it. I hate when people ask questions at the end and we can't get to them. So start putting your questions over here. But, we're week 48 of this show, and we're still in this pandemic we thought would be over when we started this within a couple of weeks, right? So essentially, I still like to stay really optimistic. So let's start. Kristin, let's start with you. What is something positive that has happened during this past year for you?
I would say something positive would be, which probably everybody could say this too, but more family time. Me and my husband, we both work full time. Our daughter does competitive cheerleading. So she's in 4th grade and she's got a million friends and everything going on. So I feel like we're always just kind of passing in the wind. We were kind of forced to just lock down and hunker down and play games together and kind of just reconnect, which was awesome. She's 10 going on 15, so she likes to just FaceTime her friends and, you know, do the TikTok thing and everything. So we had to just kind of sit and be together. I thought that was amazing. I mean, and even past that, now that we're kind of opening back up, we're still doing movie nights. We're still doing game nights and things like that we weren't really doing before. We just kind of, once you start, life just goes fast and you sometimes can lose sight of all of that, the important things. So I feel like family time really was a huge positive. I would say in the business world, our business is built off relationships and networking and being in front of people. We're very old school, just a handshake goes farther than you think. But we've also realized that we can communicate virtually and still we haven't missed a step. And so just kind of relearning how technology can help us in our business as well. It kind of pushed us out of our comfort zone instead of being face to face and learning how to use all of this technology, which was kind of crazy to do. But we were all flexible and I think that it's worked out really well.
Nice.
Kristin, one thing I'll add real quick, because we randomly, we get a lot of business owners, we get a lot of young people that watch this show. And then for the young people, I know a lot of us here speak to younger folks and audiences, but one thing about your partners and yourself is you respond incredibly quickly.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the answer, you're just like, well, I don't know, I'll find out. And so it's funny, you're selling, multi-million-dollar business right now. And you were at one point, just not a couple of years ago, a stay-at-home mom. And so I joke around and I tell people, but I'm so serious because you're living proof. You can grow and sell a multi-million-dollar business by just responding quickly. And if you don't know the answer, just say, I don't know, and I'll figure it out.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well,
and it's just amazing because...
it's funny that you say that because I've been asked to do a couple podcasts and they're like, what's the secret sauce? What's this? What's that? And I'm like, I didn't go through any sales training. I just responded to people's phone calls and I talked to people and I don't know. It's just it's hard to explain it when people want to overcomplicate things and say, okay, what process, what marketing did you do? What button did you press on Facebook? And it's just really back to the basics of just being a genuine person, responding to people's concerns and needs and just following through.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's not hard.
Mary, what is a win that you've had during COVID?
Oh man. Well, yeah, I mean, I don't have children, but I definitely agree with the getting closer with your family aspect. I'm one of 6 and most of them don't live here. I'm the second oldest, so a lot of them are still in college or just floating around. But they were home often, in and out during the whole lockdown, and it was just really cool to be in an environment where we could connect all the time. We all live really close together, so we would just go on walks with a little roadie and just catch up in a way that would not have been I keep talking about drinking, sorry. They keep talking, or that wouldn't have been possible if, life was just continuing as normal. So that's definitely been a part of it that I've really appreciated. Other than that, on a work front, my entire job is solving problems, finding creative solutions to people that have a need, and that need is, either for a space or to fill a space or to get rid of a space. So the commercial real estate world was put on pause for a while when everything was going down because no one knew what they wanted their space to look like in 3 months, let alone 10 years. So it was definitely challenging, but it created all of these pockets of opportunity. And for me, any change is good because it leads to transaction and just finding ways to insert myself and find solutions for people that have a problem that they've never faced before, because obviously this is something that's never happened, which we do. And so an example, I guess, would be a couple of weeks ago, I did a deal with a young woman who's around my age, who actually, since we've done this deal, has become a close friend. And we put her in a sublease. She needed some warehouse space for her business, and we found the perfect opportunity. It was short term. She's growing like crazy. She didn't want anything with too much commitment on a time frame basis, and we negotiated a great deal, and it was just a win-win-win for everyone. And I think it also goes back to the power of relationships, because just being open to them, you never know what happens on a business or from a friendship side.
Nice. 6 kids. And now we're going to go to Toby, who has 5. You guys are stronger than us. Yes, you have 5.
Either way, you got a basketball team. Mary's just got a sub.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Toby, what's been the biggest win for you during this?
I'm going to say that mine, both professionally and personally, happened at once. And me being in transition in a job and the heat of COVID, the worst part of it, it was after the lockdown, but it was when things were really, really dicey for a lot of people. I found myself really networking for the first time in my professional career. And what I mean by that is I came out of 9 years with Fox 4, 14 years with the Royals. I had a large network. I knew a lot of people. And I came into contact with a lot of people. But it was, did a story one day, did a story next, did a story next, moved on. With the Royals, it was interesting because most people, and I mean this with as much respect as I can say, but most people needed stuff from me rather than me needing things from them. And I completely get it because I love this baseball team, but I was fielding a lot of Royals related requests and managing that all day long. And when somebody had a situation where they were at the ballpark and I was able to interact with them, I tried to be as helpful as I could and over deliver every time. But those names of people that I ran, then I would move on the next day. And because baseball is a little relentless. I mean, you just play day after day after day, and you got to keep moving. What this COVID and other has taught me is cultivating relationships. I'm actually contacting people out of necessity, no doubt, and telling them where I am in my life. And people are so great about wanting to help, and they give me a couple of names. We're not talking about future positions. We're talking about just names. I talk to those 2 people, and they give me 2 names. Then I start to connect the dots after a while. Then I start to care about this person that I've only known 3 weeks ago and what's going on with them. And I get all excited because I see them post that they did something and they posted on LinkedIn. And so that's been the blessing in all of it, I think. The fact that we can't interact with each other in person like we did before COVID has forced us to do it this way. And there is a certain ease to knowing that if I want to network all day long, if I need to, I can, because I'm only a phone call or a video conference call away like this. Whereas before, I might not have done it until our schedule lined up, and then we were going to have a place to be, and then we were going to prepare. And so it is, I know, helping my colleagues around the business world with being more connective with people, but it certainly helped me.
So Toby, it's not going to be a quick question, but I'm going to try to go quick. And if you go long, you can definitely do it. It's a little bit of a sensitive question, but I was listening. Now, quick question and long question: is your youngest daughter adopted, or did you and your wife have her?
No, we had this baby in 2020 or 2010. That is. So she's little more than 10 years old. And guys, can you still see me? My camera looked like it kicked off, but you're able to see me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
So Toby, I randomly was listening to, I think I was listening to talk radio, and I heard Rex Hudler talk. Mm-hmm. And he talked about his experience bringing a child into the world that had a disability, or what someone would classify as a disability. Yeah. And when my wife and I were going through the process, we have a 3-year-old and a 1-year-old. That one show gave me a ton of courage because of listening of the process that one will go through when bringing a child into the world that you may not, we're all unique, but may have more uniqueness than others.
Yeah.
So for you, was that a trial by fire, bringing a child into the world, or did you have a support system? How did you learn? And my hope is that other people that are listening may give them courage if they're bringing someone into the world, or if they have someone else are bringing someone into the world, a little bit of understanding of what that's like.
You bet. Well, you're very nice to ask the question, and I love talking about Caroline. You know, we had 4 children, typical children, no health issues whatsoever. We had no clue. And so we're pregnant with Caroline, and Barbara is older. You know, we were regular age parents with number 1 through 3, and then there was a 6-year gap between 3 and 4. So now we consider ourselves older parents, and Barbara was, as she would say, an older mom, pregnant, and got a call out of the blue one day, and they said that you need to come in, your numbers are elevated. Well, I didn't know what that meant, but she did. She knew that if your numbers are elevated, the chances of a birth defect or Down syndrome or what have you were more. And so we got this extremely difficult hour where we're sitting there looking at an ultrasound of our baby, and she not only is confirmed to have Down syndrome, but she has a heart defect. And the doctor is sitting there telling us she's going to have open heart surgery in order to repair this heart valve within the first year of her life, probably around 8 months or so. I mean, and it was just the 2 of us. We didn't have anybody else around, and you could have knocked us over with a feather. Well, when I found out that there was a chance, I don't know what it is. It's not that I'm a better person than anybody, because I get ticked off in traffic, or I can be completely irritated by the dumbest thing. You know, relax already. But for whatever reason, I had, as we say in my tradition, a peace of God which surpasses all understanding. And I just was like, oh, okay. I think maybe I'm going to be the dad of a special needs child. Now, my wife had a harder time, and I don't think she minds me saying this because I've said this publicly before, but she had a harder time. But there was a preparation time because we found out while we were pregnant with Caroline. By the time she was born, and we got some great advice from a therapist who said this: right now, she's your child who's been diagnosed with Down syndrome, who's going to have open heart surgery, and it's all you can think about. But in very short order, once she's born, she's just going to be Caroline. And that's what she was. And as she's grown up, she's changed my kids' lives forever. I mean, they're both protective of her, but also very sweet to other people. They've got an empathy to them that they may never have gotten. And I'll wrap it up by saying, and I got to tell the story because it's part of my theme. So I was at a Royals game, Royals and the Cardinals, Friday night, and they told us that they were going to be able to confirm all of this in 48 hours. So this was on a Wednesday. On Friday, we got the call saying we're confirming the baby has Down syndrome and a heart defect that's going to require surgery. So I just happened to be down into the stands going to visit the Buck O'Neill Legacy Seat Award winner, which is something that my department got to execute for a long time. Best program we ever did at the Royals after Buck O'Neill. And that night, there was a person in the crowd who had his 14-year-old son with Down syndrome sitting right behind the Buck seat. And I get introduced to him, and I say to him, hey, listen, you don't know me from Adam, but I just found out that I'm going to be the father of a special needs child. So if you got any advice, and he grabbed me by the arm, and he said, Toby, I'm going to tell you what I've told everybody. I wouldn't wish this on anyone. And he's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. And Rex and I, when we talked about that for the first time, when you get a diagnosis, you're like, oh no. And when you see the child, you're like, I got a blessing that I didn't think I was ever going to get in my life. So how'd you like the way that direction of this podcast went?
We, the other day we got into a business coaching world, but then it pivoted into substance abuse. And so, if you don't talk about it, or you don't get the courage to hear it, and, I have a little baby girl that just turned a year, and, my wife and I are I don't know if we're older. I mean, it was technically a geriatric pregnancy. And so it's one of those things where, you don't know unless you hear about it. And so thank goodness I'm friends with Jeff. And so every time, we're pivoting into a different subject, Jeff can beat me up later and I can buy him 10 beers at Tanner's for having to follow a great experience and story that you just shared with us. So Jeff, what's a recent win for you over the last 12 months that you've really enjoyed?
Well, first of all, I'll say, Toby, I don't know you. I know Jeff Bolig, and your character, your talent is only exceeded by your character. I can see that. Thank you for, personal, moving story. And not thank you to Aaron and Scott for following. Maybe we reverse the order.
Yeah, you go. Yeah, you should have been.
No, some wins at COVID. Both my wife and I, at the time, we started working at home in mid-March. So about a month into that, I got one of the biggest compliments of my personal life was Robin, my wife, said to me, I thought you were going to be more of a pain in the ass to work with and be with each other 24/7. So that was big. But, I agree with everybody about the family time. We had a almost 16-year-old Bichon, and I truly believe it extended his life because we were home all the time. So, and he eventually passed on December 4th. So professionally, there was two things. So like I said, I was at United Way, Greater Kansas City. So I had just started there in mid-December, and finding out where the bathroom is in January, February, where's the good coffee, where's the stairwell, because I do take the steps. That's a big thing, it's part of me. But one of my career highlights, we raised $17.5 million for regional COVID relief efforts we partnered with the Greater Kansas City Community Foundation, Lisk and Mark to do that. And on April 16th of last year, there was the One Kansas City Day of Giving, where the media broadcast partners, promoted, giving to that relief fund, and all the e-commerce came through the platform I manage. So that was like a career highlight on that. And I would say the other professional, win for me is, unfortunately, due to COVID, there was a few of us that, our positions were eliminated at United Way, but it allowed me to bring my vision. I had been helping recent college graduates on a one-on-one basis, but a friend of mine said, why don't you put it on a live Zoom course? So it made me create a curriculum, and I launched it, and I've just had a blast doing that, and that wouldn't have happened without COVID. So.
Nice. Yeah, courses are the place. That's the best passive income you can make these days.
Well, I do it live, so it's not too passive, but yeah.
we gotta get some passive income going for you too.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, well, thank you guys. Well, first of all, I cried during this, so hopefully you can't tell too much. But thank you guys so much. I know, right? All right, let's bring on Wendy. You want to bring on Wendy, Scott?
She's here?
She's here. I know. You're such a good
CEO coming to town.
All right, here we go.
You spent countless hours in the garage with your dad. Now investing in that old car and working on it with your son reminds you of him. And his legacy lives on. Fund your passion with a low-interest home equity line of credit from Bank of Blue Valley.
What's your biggest challenge when it comes to people management?
All right, Kristin, let's start with you. What's your biggest challenge?
Okay, I couldn't hear what she asked.
She said, what's your biggest challenge when it comes to people management?
Oh, what's my biggest challenge? I feel like managing people, the biggest challenge would be just your personalities colliding. If you're trying to be assertive and they're taking it as you're being bossy, or you're being a way that you're not trying to come off as, and you're just trying to explain to them something, constructive criticism, but they're taking it the other way as you're being pushy or mean. I think that communication can get skewed sometime, where some people can be a little more sensitive than others. So I think understanding people's personality types and communication styles, where everybody's going to be so different in the way that you manage them. We've had that in our business recently where just trying to, again, just constructively criticize somebody, or not even criticize, just open communication. It's all business. We're not talking about your personality. We're not talking about you as a person. This is just bettering our business, and don't take it personally. We're all working towards the same goal. So let's just come together instead of me being over top of you and trying to tell you what to do. Let's come together as a team and figure out a solution.
I love that. Good, great answer. Mary, how about you?
Oh, this is funny because in my yoga classes that I taught last week, I talked about control and things you need to have control over and things that you can't, and then maybe things that you perhaps shouldn't. And I think that is definitely my biggest challenge with leadership, is letting other people take the reins and not controlling every aspect of the outcome. And it is something, I'm a control freak. It's something I struggle with all the time. So I'm forever working on it and trying to help other people work on it too. So,
Mary, I say the same thing. We're forever working on it, but I also think that you and I are in an environment where you have a bunch of alphas kind of going at each other. And so how do you deal with that being younger in your industry, where you're having to deal with people, and I say this about my own industry, that people think highly of themselves and they're very alpha oriented. And what you do is, there's big transaction, there's a lot of money on the line. So I think we can all learn a lot from kind of the advice you could give us. Like, how do you handle those interactions? And again, I get that we're always working on it. And an hour from now, you could be mad at someone, and that's normal. But how do you handle it, or how have you evolved?
You kind of got a little glitchy the first time you said, how do you handle? So I don't know if I know the
So
whole
how do you handle and how do you evolve to not sweat the small stuff? Because, when dealing with people, you have some big deals on the line, and you're having to deal with a cast of characters in the production role.
Yeah. That's actually something that I have grown to be very okay with, is just, you can't take everything so seriously, and you have to laugh at yourself, and sometimes you have to laugh at the other people that are taking it really seriously, and just, kind of say, okay, I'll play into whatever you need me to play into. We're all working towards the same goal, and just being flexible and humble and avoiding ego is kind of how I've managed to deal with that, because it's great to be, a big name and a big player, but at the end of the day, everyone gets the same stuff done, and it doesn't matter. So, but that's the little yogi in me in my big business world. So
I was going to say, you can't be too big of a control freak if you're that good at yoga, because I can't even make it through a class. So you're definitely Mary and Jeff together, two of the best people I know in KC, and that's Emerson, who you were talking about. You started the loop with earlier, former guest of the show. Toby, how do you handle people management?
Well, I think that what Kristin said, where you're dealing with individuals and one size doesn't fit all, was always a challenge for me, where I had to, famously on this show, it's been mentioned that I have 5 kids. And so I give this idea of, Adam, Molly, Annie, Andrew, and Caroline, and every single one of them I have to deal with a different way. I parented a different way. And so, when I fell into the whole idea of, well, we're all just thinking the same thing, we're all pulling in the same direction, we all want this, right? And realizing that not everybody is seeing things that way, and to having to adapt to each individual person that you manage was really my biggest challenge. The other thing, and this was when I told you that I really struggled the first couple of years behind the scenes of the Royals, this was the hardest part. And I'm outing myself only because it was a little bit painful, this process to learn. And that was, somebody said, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube, I tried to be a friend to people who were reporting to me for a couple of years because I was in an environment, in a high pressure environment. And it was sometimes, in TV, it can be in the newsroom, us against them. The managers are telling us to do this and we're getting beat up and moving around the city and doing all this stuff. And then you come here, and I learned quickly that I had to have at least some detachment. I mean, you can be friendly and be just have a good relationship with people, but have some sort of a detachment. And I didn't have that right away. And that was a painful lesson to learn. So maybe finding that balance too, of being friendly without being friends with people who report to you.
Yeah, that was a big lesson for me to learn as well. I think that's probably one way. You want to be friends with everybody. I want to be friends with everyone. I've heard that's a big lesson for a lot of people. Jess, how about you? How do you handle people management?
Well, if I don't like someone, I just fire them as soon as I can. I think that's really the easiest thing to do. Fire fast, hire slow. Now, okay. No, I agree with everybody. I think, and you evolve, right? So, it's 10,000 hour things. I've led teams for, I don't know. I forget how many years is 10,000 hours, but I feel like I'm at least at 20,000. But so you grow. But a couple things I would say is I don't know who has this quote, and I wish I knew it and abided by it earlier. But it's when you have the choice to be right or kind, choose kindness. And I think Toby alluded to that too with the pandemic and COVID. You just had people are doing Zoom calls with babies on their laps because daycares are closed. So it's a different environment. And unfortunately, we lost Marty Schottenheimer, who brought with Carl Peterson the Chiefs back to the glory days. And he recently passed. But a lot of players said about him, Marty just didn't care for you as a football player; he cared for you as a person. And I think that's really part of being a great leader, is just caring for the person and not, did they get X, Y, Z done? Because everybody's going through stuff that, almost said a swear word. Everybody's going through stuff that, you don't know what they're going through, right? So.
Aaron, what about you? I feel a lot of wisdom has been going on, but what do you think of the people management side?
I mean, I definitely had some of the same issues that Toby did, where I tried to be friends. I tried to go out with, right? Like in my mind, I was still 20 as well when I started my business. I think for me, probably a little more Jeff. Like I've just now developed a real, not a friend relationship. I definitely have the friendly relationship, but understanding. For us, it's really important at our job. Mental health care is very important, and being open about what's going on in the personal life, especially this past year, has been kind of the big game changer in my leadership, where before I think I knew stuff was going on, but it didn't resonate when we're in the office every day. And now we've just really opened that up, and that's helped with my leadership of allowing people to tell me and then helping guide them, but also not fixing all the personal problems too, not the friend role, but more the friendly and helping guide that. How about you, Scott, since you put me on the
I was going to say, after I answer this, do you want me to do an icebreaker?
Yes.
So I don't do it. I think one of the luckiest things that ever happened to me is never being in an office job, because if I get mad at something because someone did something that they weren't supposed to do, it affects me for 48 hours. And I've slowly realized over time that, thank goodness, I meet with a minimum of 5 to 6 people every day, one-on-one. And like today, I hosted a 35-person meeting in the morning. So, I mean, I'm always interacting with a large group of people. I have a board call tonight with about 15 people. So it's a blessing, because I never have to do what you all do, which is lead people. I somehow have gotten somewhere in my life where I don't lead anyone. And I probably would be bad about it. So, Kristin, the icebreaker with
60 seconds. We got 60 seconds for everybody to answer.
Yep.
Oh.
4 minutes left. Well, and it could be 10 seconds if it's a good one-liner. What is a fashion faux pas that you regret? So when you're thinking about high school and you looked at a photo and you were like, I was bleaching my tips? I had a bowl cut. I had a double popped collar. What was your fashion faux pas?
The double popped collar, yes.
I know. Are you talking clothes or hair?
Anything. So
Okay.
something you regret when you were younger, under the age of 18.
18.
Kristin, go for it.
I wore really, really light lipstick, like almost white lipstick, or like white eyeliner. Awful. Not look good on doesn't look good on anybody.
Mary, fashion faux pas you regret under the age of 18.
Mine is the double popped collar, and always in really wonderful, like baby pink and blue, or like lime green, or some wonderful color scheme like that. But yeah, that's mine.
The pastels were rocking.
Yeah,
Toby,
and they always had like the Abercrombie logo on there.
Katie says, "Don't hold back." She loves this icebreaker. Also, a member of the Loop.
Also, my best friend whose 30th birthday was yesterday.
Oh, happy birthday, Katie!
Happy birthday, Katie. Toby, under 18, fashion faux pas.
Under 18, I was the skinniest guy in high school, and I used to wear larger clothes than if I just had a normal structure. So I thought that it would hide my skinny, and it ended up making it twice as bad. I got a hair one too from above 18, but
now was there any flannel? Was there any big flannel shirts involved here?
I don't know. This was the 80s, and the pop collar that you were talking about, I don't remember flannel, but I mean, yeah, I was, yeah. If you wear it real big, then they can't tell that you're real thin, and that's not true.
That's right. So, Jeff, I've never seen you not dress impeccable, and I've never seen your hair not impeccable. So I gave this icebreaker today, and someone said I never had a fashion faux pas.
Yes.
You have one under the age of 18?
Oh, yeah. Yes, my fashion faux pas, and yes, I went out in public, and this was the polyester leisure suits with the floral polyester shirts with the big collars and lapels. Yes.
Janae says yes.
Yes.
Now, Aaron, what about you? Do you have things that you regret?
Yeah, I was more 21, but I used to have that bleach blonde hair, and then I got black extensions underneath it. I'm pretty sure I thought I was Christina Aguilera.
Oh, yeah. You no pun intended. Yeah. You probably wanted to keep that genie in a bottle.
Well, I don't know why you're in insurance. I don't ever get it.
Yeah, we should be. It's kind of like, we got to write our own material here. It's kind of like, by the way, I did truly love Jeff's video about his cooking recipe. I've watched the whole thing, but he made me giggle really hard when he talked about writing his own material. I think it's clear that you and me also write our own material as well.
I would like to take you and Jeff to, I think it used to be Coaches, but it's now the Comedy Club on 103rd and 435 over there. And they do open mic night on Monday nights. And I would like to take you and Jeff there. You in?
Back to that 10,000 hour rule that we were talking about with Toby. I mean, I think it's the same thing. Unless you do it, I am definitely scared to interview anyone on television, and because the people you surround yourself with, it's very apparent who the amateur is.
Right. What is yours, Scott? Right here, we're about to be at time, but what's yours? You don't get to ask us all of ours without doing you.
Gosh, again, I'm embarrassing myself. So one of the teachers would be like, "What's up, Chip?" And I'd be like, "What? What are you talking about?" And they would always call me Chip. And I was like, "Why are they doing that?" Well, I was the idiot with a double popped collar. And so I've regretted it every day. I went to college and I quit it. But I was, Mary, I think it's different. I think you pulled it off. I was the person that thought it was like, "Oh, this is the coolest thing ever." And, but I got lucky. I avoided the bleach tips, which was huge. But I had the puka shell necklace for sure.
I can see you as a puka shell necklace pop collar guy. I really can. Actually,
it hurts. I know.
David, thank you. David said, "Great show today," and I 100% agree. What a fantastic lineup. Thank you all for being so patient with our tech issues. Thank you for all of your great information. I know that people that will watched it live and will watch it going forward are really going to benefit from this. We really want to thank y'all for coming on, and we want to thank Bank of Blue Valley for being our sponsor. And we will see you same time next week right here book. Thank you guys.
Thank you.